That's fine. That's fine. I'm just worried about the power supply. So basically, we've gone off the generator now, which is the reliable one, or back onto public power supply, and that could go at any time. Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the African Football Showdown. We're the one-stop shop for anything and everything to do with African football. Of course, my name is Peter Okwache. Welcoming you to this show. Joining me all the way from London. I'm in Nigeria, by the way. Joining me all the way from London is my man,
not bad,
Daniel
man. I'm not
Dante.
bad.
I
How
wish I
you
could give you
doing?
a high five from Niger. How are you? Not bad. It's really hot here in Abuja where I am.
Jeez.
Sometimes it gets up to like 42
Yeah,
degrees Celsius, man. That's
I'm
boiling.
slightly jealous
But
because
I'm not comparing you too
it's
much.
raining here in London all the time, and it's pretty annoying. Very, very chilly as well. So even though we're heading into spring, but anyway, um,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to exchange.
I don't envy you. No, not at all. I'm happy exactly where I am right now, man. And I'm also happy to be on the Africa Football Showdown because, we just love this show. I want to thank all the viewers, and all the listeners who are always joining us on this show. We've got quite a limited show for you today, simply because I'm in Nigeria. We're having serious power outages, and once that happens, it's difficult to get through on your internet and stuff like that. So we'll just take it as we go, and probably have a more limited show than our normal 26 minutes or thereabouts today. And on the show today, we will be talking about the African scorers in European leagues over the weekend. So the EPL, Serie A, the Bundesliga, and La Liga. Some of the African players, lots of African goal scorers across these leagues over the weekend. We'd like to talk about some of them. Some other players put in some good performances. They might not have scored some goals. We'll talk about those too. And also talk about some of the fantastic performances by African players who, even though they did not score
Sounds good.
over the
I'm
weekend,
going
we
to
need to
ask
highlight.
for
How
your
about that,
permission and
Daniel?
the permission of everyone listening and watching. Give me a few minutes before we end to talk about the All Africa game because taking place in Ghana, because it's been an absolute. It's exactly what you expect from a
Absolutely.
tournament in Africa.
Mm.
It's had great stories and some parts of it has been sad.
All right, no problem at all. Listen, let's get into this. Some of the African goal scorers against across Europe this weekend. It's quite a long list, so I'm going to read out some of them. Bear with me. In England, we saw Nick Jackson scoring for Chelsea. I mean, he's had some really bad reviews for Chelsea. He's a big-time signing. He gets a lot of game time, but people don't think he does that well. He did manage to score for Chelsea on Monday night. In England also, Burkina Faso's Django Ouattara scored his first goal of the season for Bournemouth, who are 13th, as they held on to a 2-2 draw against Sheffield United. Bournemouth playing at home, of course, so not a very good result for them. At one point, they were 2-0 down, up home. But I guess it happens. Algeria's Ryan Aït-Nouri scored a wonderful goal for Wolverhampton, who are in 8th position against Fulham. I actually watched that match. I really enjoyed Aït-Nouri's performance. He's really coming on strong. Now, I've noticed him in the past 2 or 3 weeks, so not a bad game from him and not a bad player at all. And then in that same game, Nigeria's Alex Iwobi pulled 1 goal back for Fulham. That's against Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm really happy for Alex Iwobi. He had a torrent of abuse from Nigerian fans following the Africa Cup of Nations last month, which I don't think he deserved. I think he was playing out of position. A torrent of abuse. Got a lot of support from football writers and football players as well. And I'm happy that he's doing well in the league. I mean, he scored 2 goals in as many matches for his team now. So not a bad season for him. He's actually scored 5 goals this season. That's his highest tally ever in the Premier League. So not a bad season for him at all, although he should score more. There was also a goal from Ivory Coast, David Fofana for West Ham, as they drew at home as well. Now, in Germany, match day 25, Guinean Seru Girassi scored his 21st goal as VfB Stuttgart, who are third, beat Union Berlin 2-0. In Spain, Real Sociedad more than ever in contention for European qualifications. They won 3-2 at Granada with a goal from Nigeria's Umar Sadiq. That's another Nigerian player who's having a barnstorming season in Europe. In France, a lot of African players shown, in particular Gabon's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who scored a decisive brace as Marseille beat Nantes 2-0. Christopher Operi helped Le Havre beat Toulouse 1-0. And then Zimbabwean Marshall Munetsi, he helped Reims to a 2-2 draw against the leaders, Paris Saint-Germain. So a really, really good weekend across Europe for African players. But I know you want to talk about somebody who didn't quite score a goal.
First of all, David Fofana, I remember when Chelsea signed him. This was a Potter era, and if my memory serves me well. And I've always been looking out to see how he would do. Of course, he's on loan with West Ham now. Wishing him the very best. Omar Diakite in Rennes, I don't know if you got round to him, but in that game that the Zimbabwe Munetsi scores, Diakite also leveled after PSG drew, after PSG went ahead. But my highlights for the weekend in terms of African players will be Andre Onana. I think Onana keeping that clean sheet against Everton was very important for Manchester United, looking at the kind of season that they've had. And thinking about the fact that Everton had 23 shots on target. This is the kind of, this is the kind of showmanship that you expect from a goalkeeper at Manchester United, from a goalkeeper for Cameroon. And I'm hoping that we'll be seeing more of these days. It's the 8th clean sheet Onana has had this season. So hopefully he gets more.
That's not bad. That's not bad, really. That's not bad at all. And I'm one of his biggest critics. I've criticized him for the last, 5 years now? No, not 5 years. For the last, since the Cup of Nations in Cameroon. So, he's a good shot stopper. But I think sometimes he just makes very, very silly mistakes. But I'm really happy for him. 23 shots on target and no goal scored against him. And he kept a clean sheet.
I think that definitely.
Really, really
can we go to the game of the weekend?
To him. I thought you were never going to get there. That was Liverpool versus Manchester City. I think it's the best game I've seen this season so far. I mean, two clubs, high pressing. It makes you wonder why Manchester United sat back against Manchester City. I mean, these two teams, Liverpool and Man City, were pressing each other almost to the center line. It was just an amazing game of football.
Against Liverpool. When I was watching the game, it looked like, first of all, it was a game of two halves, wasn't it? Because the first half, Liverpool got one shot on target, even though some impressive incursions were made. But you could see that something was missing. I think there was a problem with that Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz combination at the front. They weren't really communicating because there were too many passes that Diaz would outrun. And I'll look at it and I'll say, it's not really, that's not how it's supposed to work. Like, if the pass finds you, the pass finds you. You get it. Look at that corner kick that Man City scored in the first half. That was well practiced.
Yes.
Well practiced. The defender at the near post was drawn away, and then the short corner goes straight in. Very well practiced to the T. That's what you really expect when you're playing at this level, and that kind of coordination. However, Luis Diaz sort of purged himself, with that dribble, that amazing dribble in the second half. Yeah, but let's talk about Salah.
When Salah came in, the game changed. What a player. What an absolute, and that pass to Luis Diaz. Diaz should have buried that ball in a heart, not quite sure what happened to him then. But, the quality of Mo Salah, he had more touches as a second-hand substitute than
I'll tell you,
Haaland had for the whole game. That's
First of
astonishing.
all, Mo Salah shows his class, shows his quality when he comes in. This is a Mo Salah who is not completely fit. Remember that there was a point in the game where he was clutching himself. It was like he was in pain physically and nothing had really been done to him. So you realize that, okay, no, this guy is
Mm,
still sort of struggling. I felt like he didn't
mm.
land on his foot well. And that's how come. And it's been like this is, I think, his second showing for Liverpool, and he's not been able to start. Okay, I noticed that we will miss him when I was watching the highlights of Liverpool's wins against Manchester City since 2018. I think he showed his class, he showed his quality. We needed him. The number of shots on goal that we got in the second half showed obviously that something had been missing in the final. The last part was a problem for Liverpool in that game. And when he came in, they were able to dictate the pace. Man City saw very little of the ball from when Liverpool, from after the first 10 minutes or so. It was consistently difficult for Man City to pass it around as much as possible. Yeah. Let's give there's so many talking points, Pete. I don't know how you feel. This is the last game in the Premiership that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola will play against each other. The record that Jurgen Klopp leaves with is 8 wins against Pep Guardiola's 6. Can you believe that?
It's an unbelievable statistic. I mean, Pep Guardiola regarded by many as the best manager in the world, but consistently beaten. I say consistently, I mean, beaten more times than any other manager that by Jurgen Klopp. But what a great exhibition for football and a great exhibition for the Premier League. So, congratulations to both sides. I was I couldn't take my eyes off the TV screen. You just wish you were in the stadium to watch it, because it's always much better to watch these matches in the stadium. But yes, any other team that caught your mind that caught your eye rather over the weekend? Perhaps a
You know
certain
what?
North
You know
London
what?
team that
Let's
plays in
let's
red.
go straight to the All Africa Games, because Peter, it has reached my ear. It has reached my ear. The All Africa Games has reached my ear, Peter. As far as the All Africa Games are concerned, number one, Ghana's badminton team was kicked out of the badminton singles in the round of 16. One of the players, Leslie Ado, he said that the team received their equipment the day before the game and had not had a chance to practice with them. There was a medal winner who went on a radio show, and it's reported that when she was congratulated, she was asked, she put out an appeal for fund. There was a wrestling player in the middle, and I've seen all this stuff on Twitter, in the middle of the game where Ghana is playing against, Ghana is wrestling against Egypt. He needs to be fanned, and the coach calls like, "Where's the fan? Where's the fan?" And where's a towel to fan him? The assistant coach takes off his shirt so that the coach can fan him with it. Like, sometimes you wonder, Peter, what was the plan when we were going into this All Africa game? My motherland. These people keep breaking my heart and breaking my heart and breaking my heart, Peter. The planning for this one. Look, I'm reading this random, and I just pulled this randomly on Twitter. The coach of the judo team said that the sports ministry couldn't give them plaster that they included in their list for the African Games. The coach of the team was made to pay for the T-shirts he wore to represent the country. What?
But why are we surprised? I mean, how many times in football tournaments have we seen teams turn up without their equipment? Even at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, was it in 2022, which I was covering at the time? I mean, some African countries came to Birmingham without any team uniform, and then there was a local team, a local manufacturer, sportswear manufacturer in Birmingham that was supplying them jerseys and whatnot. So African teams, we got to realize that preparation is key preparation is key to any victory at any of these
Exactly.
major
So
tournaments. I
how
mean,
do we
what
expect
just
these
it's a real
players
disgrace
or
what you're
these
telling me.
sportsmen
You
to
know,
ever compete on a global stage? That's my question. Because again, we had a cycling
no,
champion, Michael Nava. He had
it
to
can't
withdraw
happen.
from the event on Monday after his personal equipment, or was it Sunday, pardon me, because his personal equipment did not meet the game's standards and he did not get any from the Cycling Federation. So again, you see, this is what was it Firaz who told us this, that when we were discussing AFCON, I think it was Firaz, he told us that the quality of players, the quality of team on the African continent playing for the country is dependent largely on how teams are able to attract players who were not born in their home country, like Morocco, like Ghana, like Nigeria. So the
Yes.
real story is that we can't groom talent, and it's not just other sports. It's like even the football that we like. It just so happens that there is an infrastructure called the English Premier League and European League that are able to absorb raw talent and give them the training that they need. Tell me that Mohamed Kudus could have done what he did for Ghana if he was still playing in Ghana. You see,
It would have been virtually impossible. And I listen, I hear the pain in your voice. I know that this is happening in Ghana, so it's a thing of pride or shame for you. But you know, I mean, the people who should be really ashamed are football administrators, our sports administrators, who don't take their jobs seriously. They're just there for the comfort that they
many of
get.
them.
I mean, obviously not all of them, but many of them.
The number of our players.
Yes.
Fine, we have what do they call themselves? Oh, these are big boys. Sadio Mane and Sis who have gone through football, but the majority of the players who shine for Africa when you come to this football show that I'm talking about, when it comes to this premiership, Bukayo Saka, Edin Ketia, all of these guys, all of them here, all of them in Naki Williams, and they could have
one of
played
them
for
born in
other
the
teams.
UK.
The few that we have raw homegrown talent,
Absolutely.
Who were groomed, taken out of the country, and they've had to play for a long time before they can sign. And it just so happens that if you take cycling, for instance, that investment, that global investment has not reached Africa. And that is how come we have people like Michael Naba, who I'm looking at on the screen right now. Shout out to Yao, who did that interview, who doesn't have a bike to go for the All Africa Games. And this is the Olympics of Africa. This is Africa's answer to the Olympics. So when they go and stand at the Olympics, what should they do?
Listen, let's not leave this
it has reached
showdown today with an air
of
depression or on a sad note, given what's happening at the All Africa Games. No, you said it. You said
it's an expression we use in Ghana. I know that I should say. I know that I say it's at my throat.
No, what? We use it. In Nigeria, we say it always finish. Anyway, listen, man, it's been great speaking to you this week again. We'll be back for another one. I do apologize for some of the internet issues that we've had from Nigeria, especially, but hopefully we'll get it right again next week.